Anna and I are on the way to Harold Waring, who's been a member and long-time president of Australian Electric Vehicle Association here in Brisbane, and he's over 90 years old, and he's been a big friend with batteries in all sorts of vehicles for over 70 years. Guys, imagine 70 years he's been a big fan of electricity and batteries, and we are going to talk to him. It's his birthday, so we are going to have a little gathering, talk with him, and hopefully recording his life story, because it is well worth mentioning. He's been able to do some amazing things in his life with the generation of electricity, and let's have a look. And this is Harold's story. Good morning, Harold.
Good morning to you.
Nice meeting you again. I've met you on a number of occasions, usually at Australian Electric Vehicle Association
Meetings, yeah.
It's your birthday this weekend. Very happy birthday to you,
Thank
young
you.
man.
Thank you.
You've been a fan of electricity and batteries for a very long time. You are a pioneer in so many things, and we thought we would ask you some questions because your knowledge needs to carry on.
Okay.
Please tell us, I know you were born in England, tell us how your passion started for electricity and battery storage.
Well, I suppose the first time was when my father bought this place in Cheshire. I was born in Manchester, country estate, and it had its own generating set and batteries. My father didn't want to be bothered with newfangled stuff like this. I had an uncle who repaired it and got it running, and then my father just scrapped it. And that was about 6.5 years old then.
Okay.
And the house, he just put gas lighting through the whole house, the only thing we had. No electricity in the village. And from then on, I just got interested, and I used to earn my pocket money from the age of about 9 or 10, I suppose. I had another little generator I got, I can't remember where I got it from, but the village had crystal sets to start with, and then came the first valves, sets with valves in.
Okay.
And the valve ones had what they call a B battery and an A battery. The A battery was for the filaments.
Yeah.
And that was a lead acid, single cell. And the B battery was a huge block of dry cells, 120 volts worth, for the anodes and all the high tension things. And everybody in the village either had to go 6 miles into Lancashire to get the battery charged, the lead acid one, or they came to me, and I got a roaring trade going. So I usually had 5 or 6 batteries on charge at all times. People would bring them round, and I'd charge them and come and pick them up again. Okay. And I think I've charged 6pence or something. Big money in those days. And that's how I became interested in general electrical stuff. And of course I went on to become a professional electrical engineer.
What I'm fascinated by that Harold has had solar panels for 30 years now here on this roof. We'll go and have a look at them later.
They're on there.
On there? Oh yes. Okay.
I'm here.
So you've had them since 1989?
Yeah, not these. This was on Macleay Island.
I see. Okay. Basically you had one of the first solar panels in Australia, is that fair to say?
Probably. I'm certainly one of the first to put them on the roof here. In fact, there was a scheme before the incentive scheme. They gave you a subsidy for up to 1.5 kilowatts. That's the 1.5 kilowatts. It used to be a 1.5 kilowatt system. It's so old now, it's not very good. 20 odd years. And the government paid half the cost, which is going to be surprise you, $18,700. It cost me $8,000. The government paid the rest. Now that's only 1.5 kilowatts. Nowadays you can buy 5 kilowatts for less than $3,000.
Yes, yes. It is incredible, guys. And for those who still are thinking about solar panels, every day is a good day to put them on the roof, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll say I was the first one in this area, and I got 10 other people later on, not much later on, my dad. And when they'd introduced the incentive scheme here for later people, I joined it straight away. But those were getting a bit old, and I was in the business and pulling a few strings, I suppose, and I got permission to add another kilowatt. So I had 2.5 kilowatts officially, but I'm now getting better out of this 1 kilowatt system, which is modern panels, than those 6 panels. There's only 4 here. The 12 panels over there, all about the same physical size, which is illustrates the difference in efficiency now per square meter. There you've got 6 panels producing, when they were new, 1.5 kilowatts. Here I've got 4 panels, or 6 panels, sorry, doing 1 kilowatt. And I get more out of here now, twice as much, than I do out of those which are 20 odd years old now.
I know you've been involved with Australian Electric Vehicle Association for a long time. You started in Townsville in 1968.
Thereabouts, 68, 69, I'm not sure. But
can you briefly touch on that one, your beginnings with the association in Townsville?
Well, I don't know how I got interested in the first place, but I was working with Northern Electric Authority at the time to build Collinsville Power Station. And there was also TREB, with Townsville Regional Electricity Board, the equivalent of what we have here? Energex. And we were much better in those days. We had a generating authority and a selling. Now we've got all these different people. Stands to reason the pedal's going to go up because it's making a profit for thousands of people who invested. Government-run things that tend to be a bit difficult to make efficient. But I retired at the age of 58, because at that stage, that's when they split it up, started selling off to other people. And Energex just took over the 132, I'm used to saying 132 kV, which is English, 110 kV here. It took over the grid, and they had a generating authority, which is I was working with. And the retailing was all these other people.
Now, was it too hot for you in Townsville that you came to Brisbane? What brought you to Brisbane?
What brought me to Brisbane was the end of the project. I was asked to go and start a new scheme up there, and it's an interesting point about my life. I've only once ever applied for a job. I've been invited to do things for everything else, including being a representative of Australia to go to international committees. But they went up there to start with, and we had the substation engineer from the SEAQ at those days. Went up as a senior engineer, and I went up as a senior design and electrical man, construction. That was 1966 to 1974. Came back to here 10 days before the flood and lost my house here.
1974 was the big flood here?
1974 was a very big flood. And to add misery to that, in 1971 I lost my house in Townsville, Cyclone Althea. So I've lost 2 houses now, uninsured in both cases. So I've become very, very capable in those days. Builder's son, of course. I'm doing rebuilt them, overpaid myself, help from the kids, those that stayed home. Excuse me. Got bits of
Now, because most people will be interested in solar and electric cars, please tell us, I know you bought Mitsubishi IMEV in 2012. Tell us about that car, how you liked it.
Very much, but it got written off with back-end collision.
Oops.
After 4 years.
How many kilometers had that one done?
I think from memory about 60,000, or maybe 70, somewhere in that region. But the RSEQ insured it, and they had to go repairing it. And it cost them $9,000 for the first attempt.
Okay.
Then when they did the road test, it wasn't satisfactory. So they got another quote from the same people who are no longer here in Cleveland. And that was going to be another 9,000. And they reckoned the market value was 20-odd thousand. When I first got it, I said, write it off.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that. It's worth 20,000 on the market, your car at least. We can't write it off. So we repaired it. We can do a lot for 20,000.
Okay.
But then, of course, they got these two. First one they spent 9,500, second 9,000, 18,000. They said, oh, can't do that. Write it off. But there is a rule in Queensland which is a write-off but repairable.
Yeah.
So I bought the car for a solar battery because it was still in very good nick. I got it home, but it was the first attempt at repairing because made it like new again, cosmetically.
Yeah.
And I got it here. I thought, I can't pull this apart. It's a very good car.
Yeah.
So I sold it and I paid $4,000 to get it back from the breakers.
Yes.
And I couldn't bring myself to pull the battery out and throw it away, so I sold it to Kevin. you met Kevin.
Maybe I can't remember.
So
does he still have it now?
He has it now. It's his wife's 52nd birthday present.
Oh,
but
nice.
he and I, well, he did most of it using my equipment mostly, but I helped a bit. But it's to his credit, he repaired it enough to get it passed, and she's thrilled a bit. She's been had it now for since 2012.
7 years.
7 years.
Now
they're still going strong. They've still got the original battery in it. And she never charges at home. She goes out. She runs all these social games and things. I can't remember what they are. Housey. Or what you don't call it housey.
Now I know you've got a good appetite with that AEVA, and you got the biggest battery storage of your life, which was BMW i3 in 2017.
Yeah.
And you have it now. How do you like that one?
Very much, but I still think the AEVA was better value for money. But of course,
absolutely,
they weren't allowed to bring them in after a while because they didn't have the necessary backups things. And in fact, after the first 6 months, when they had the car for repairing it over a year, and at 6 months they told me a sad story. They'd spent the $9,500, whatever it was, and it wasn't satisfactory. I said, write it off. I said, told you the first one, no, we can't do that. And then, of course, one bright morning, and I'd been without a car, so I bought a very old 2010 AEVA, which was one of these that should have gone back to Japan at, doled them out to various big undertakings as fleet cars. And they, of course, had a very hard life because in a big company with an AEVA there, everybody used it. Fast charge it, go out, come back, fast charge it for the next go. And that didn't do the battery much good. It had a very poor range. And what's his other name is?
Who?
Hugh.
Thompson?
Thompson, yeah.
Yeah, he's got it now.
Ah, yes.
I sold it to him for the same price. And he's recently put a battery in it. But he's been using it for 4 years with the old battery.
Yeah.
It was for his wife, but his wife doesn't get a look in it. He uses it all the time.
With your BMW i3, it's said that you are unable to
More than
drive it
sad,
right
it's
now.
tragedy.
I am thinking now, would it be possible to convert this car to hand controls, and you can do hand control driving? Would they give you license
I don't
back?
think so, because I've also got one of the falls was down off the curb here. I bent down to pick something about the gutter, facing down the slope. So it's flat my face, and that damaged the eye socket on this side. And I've got double vision, which is getting worse occasionally. It's not a handicap really. If I see two cars, I just close one eye, but it's getting worse. The doctors say I'll never be able to use my legs again to the state necessary. It could be converted, but what is happening to it now? My daughter, who lives in Newcastle, she's overseas at the moment on some Jones or other. She's going to buy it off me.
Okay, so it will be in good hands.
She comes up here, and every time she comes, she's delighted to have it.
Drive it.
And we used to go all over the place with it. And now her husband, he's also retired, wants it. Her husband's very young, but he's very rich. He ran a non-destructive testing system. He's a bloke who finally shut Hazelwood down.
Okay.
So you can't do it anymore. I'm not going to certify it anymore. So it got closed. And he finally retired and sold the business and made millions on it. And, no problem for them to buy it.
Do we have any questions from the audience here?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the first electric vehicle. I'd like to hear a little bit about that, the push bike.
Push bike.
Yeah.
Well,
1944.
pretty simple thing.
Yeah.
Just a push bike with I did it again, and today the Electrothon,
Yeah.
was another conversion, but basically on the same thing, but with non-equipment, non-batteries,
12 volt or 6 volt still?
24 volt.
24.
The rules for the Electrothon in 1970, whatever it was, 78 was it? Can't remember. I looked it up when I did all that, but I've forgotten.
Yes.
Yeah, about 78. I used the same vehicle, motor I had on a German scooter called a Solo. And after the floods, I lost my Jaguar car in that flood. So I was without a car to start with. And I bought this thing, bought two of them actually. The other design engineer who's retiring, we bought two between us. And eventually I ended up with them both, one of which I gave to, I've forgotten now. Look, he used to come to the meeting, but he's gone now.
One of the older members.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the guy with the red, little red car.
Oh no, not. Doesn't matter. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
He's gone down south something now. But he used the same technology really. Motor on the front, batteries on the back for weight distribution, and the motor drove by a small pulley to a big pulley on the bottom bracket the way the pedals are. Took the pedals away,
Yeah.
and put this big off washing machine, the drum pulley. Still got it, and the rest of it. Driving there, and then there's a stirring electric gear on the back, so we had the further reduction there. The bike in England you asked about was a very basic thing, just no fancy gears or anything in those days. And well, there were stirring electrics in the hub, but I had that my proper bike, but the one I pulled to pieces was a very old-fashioned thing with levers on the brakes, no Bowden cables in those days. And, but it's the same thing. I had the motor on the front, and the carrier was already on the bike. They had a big carrier on the back, carried a big singles car by 6 volt, which is pretty horrendous when you look back at it now. But in those days, it was good.
That was what you had.
That's what I had.
Yeah.
It cost me nothing.
I bet you had many questions asking what you ride in, yeah? Because you mentioned that it was a necessity that brought you to these bikes or bicycles, electric bikes, because you had a long commute to school and.
No, I did. Yeah, I did, but I didn't use it. In fact, that's something I didn't mention in there. The milk float. I say I was absolutely through the bits. And when I started biking back to school, quite often they had a hanger on. On them in the morning, not at night, but I used to try, in those days with very few cars, of course, during the war.
Yeah.
I used to hang on the back of the thing and get towed when I could.
Yeah.
So I probably got 2 miles, maybe 4 miles. It was free running.
Yeah.
For those guys who, if you'd like to explore more, by all means go to Australian Electric Vehicle Association website here in Brisbane. You are welcome to join the meetings. We'll tell you about them more. And I want to give big credit to you and to Graham for continuing your mission here in Brisbane, because I think Graham and his team are doing a wonderful work here in Brisbane, in Queensland.
And Simone.
Yes, of course, Simone and the whole team.
No, I was very impressed by what was happening when we did the expo.
Yes, yeah, it's not an easy thing to pull off an event like that.
I think it was a great success, actually.
Absolutely, yes.
I think every year, and it can go right back to when you joined in 1969 at the Townsville branch, and every year that the AEVA has been in existence, it is continuously stepped up its game. Every year there's something bigger, something better.
Yeah, I guess so.
And so on. And I always use the idea that it's like the RACQ was back in 1910 when there was 20 petrol cars and they formed a club. We're sort of in that sort of time right now. The AEVA could well be like the motoring associations of today in the future. You know?
Yeah, agreed. The RACQ aren't very good at that sort of thing.
No.
I'm very disappointed in their lack of interest. And
Yeah.
the latest.
Slow.
For the first time, I saw an article on electric vehicles in last month's RACQ News,
Okay.
and it was not what I'd have written about in
So-
any way.
I'd like to ask another question. I know you did one of the very first solar hot water systems. Do you want to briefly touch on that?
Yeah, well, that's still got them at the back of there. Actually, they've been down up to Townsville. Townsville house blew away from under them, so they got all bent, but they're still usable. Built like the solar panel, so the fixed solar panel.
Did you make it?
I made it. I made my father, and very much on the cheap. Because the condensers on that steam turbine, there's lots of brass tubes. Are you familiar with the turbines?
Vaguely, yeah.
You've got a big condenser on the water to convert the steam back to pure water to put back into the boiler,
Yep.
and to extract the last. The low pressure end of the steam turbine is below atmospheric, and it goes into this high vacuum in the thing. And all these tubes have seawater going through them. In this case, and inland it's fresh, but it has seawater running through with a big circulating pump.
Yep.
And eventually they develop pinholes for aluminium bronze,
Yep.
and they get scrapped. We had a continuous flow of these tubes. There'd probably be 300 or 400 on each machine, and the repair rate every annual overhaul would probably take 30, 40 tubes out.
Yep.
Each one had plugged and tested. And if they had a pinhole in, they had to come out and a new tube put in. So we had a special setup at the power station collecting these things. And I saw an opportunity there. I bought some for scrap ones, which had various between 1 or 5 holes in them. And I brought them home, and I patiently silver soldered where the pinholes were.
Yep.
And at low pressure, of course, and it's still watertight now. But to get the consists of the header and risers, tubes from bottom to top, and between them you have to have heat collecting surfaces,
Yep.
which on the commercial ones is a sheet of copper painted black and soldered to each tube.
Yep.
But I hadn't got the money to do that in those days. Or I don't do things if I can do them myself. But the 110 kV lightning arresters on the transmission line,
Yeah.
are what they call multi-cap things. And they consist of a 6-foot high aluminium porcelain insulator. You've probably seen them on the substations.
Yeah.
Inside they had these cartridges, for want of a better name, but each one was about half an inch thick, and it consists of 2 brass plates, a ceramic ring between them, and a brass plate filled with we call it I've forgotten the name now. Anyway, it's one of the semiconductors.
Right.
With a very high breakdown rate, and they're all insulated, all piled up, about 50 or 60 of them in one insulator.
Right.
And the brass discs are rolled into a groove in the thing to hold them,
Yep.
and they just pile one on top of the other. And I bought those, I think, to get the brass out there. And this is where my father came in. He was retired by this time, and a very good plumber and builder. And we cut them all out, cut the turned out edges, so we got some 7-inch discs, and cut them all across the middle, and we laid them between each pipe, overlapping each other. You can show them to you down there, I see them. And that's how we got it's made. Great success. And when I went to Townsville, I took them with me, and I had to get a crane because I had a very big tank onto the roof.
Yep.
With things, and because of the big tank, I forget how many, it would be probably 600 litres or something of that order.
You had to,
Very heavy full of water,
Yeah.
and there's no Queensland the house, so it's supported. And when the cyclone came, it blew the whole roof away completely. But the tank came down onto the back lawn, and it killed the grass in a big circle of boiling water.
Yeah.
Christmas in Townsville. And it took the lawn about 2 years to recover. So, but I brought them back with me here, and I installed them here to start with.
That's amazing. That would have been back in 1969 then, when you constructed this.
No, before that, because I went to town in '66.
Yeah. So that would have to be one of the first.
1956 probably, when I started work here.
Yeah.
And I was always interested, and forgot the name of the guy who was doing solar panels. A pretty famous professor at University of Queensland, New South Wales.
Yeah.
And he was looking at high temperature thing, and I wrote to him because I could see the ideal thing. I got these things off the tracking parameter thing, and they have a copper pipe up the middle. I said, these things he was making are 4 inches square panels, running at high temperature. And I hit on the idea of brazing them to the copper pipe down the middle, facing the bottom of the reflector, so that would get the full sun, and the water would cool them, get the hot water and the PV. All the same, but he wouldn't do it in the end. He said it was too far away to think. I said, well, I know what I'm doing. I'll instrument it for you and do the thing, but it didn't happen.
I believe that, from what I heard, that this solar system was so successful, you were supplying hot water to your neighbours. Yeah,
well, that's right. The one I put in here, and I was very impressed. It used to be all private property. Now a lot of rental. That's rental. This one's privately owned now, but it had an easement through here for the farm. All that was farmland in those days.
Yeah.
Take the pipes from here to the swamp, all the way around. And eventually my family moved out. Well, the 5 of us when we came here.
Yeah.
6 of us when we got here. Brian left after cycling in Melbourne, joined the Air Force. Couldn't get a job in town on the airport, so he went and joined the Air Force. But I still had 4 of my children, plus Frida and I. And I put this thing in here. It was a great success, so I threw these ones out. They were damaged. Bit of a makeshift thing. But when the family moved out, it was boiling all the time. I thought it was ridiculous. I did a test on flow rate against temperature rise and find out we're getting 9.5 kilowatts out of the hot water continuously all day long. So it's ridiculous. And it got to say where we only used to, because I had a big tank too. That's in the shed. That's about 400 litres.
Yeah.
Outdoor tank, full pressure. And I had enough to keep 2 of us going because it's very hot, boiling temperature, for 2 or 3 days. So I got to say, well, I just switching the tracking mechanisms off this because it was boiling all the time.
Yeah.
So I just switched it off, and we'd go for 2 or 3 days. And it was summer, when it got too cool for a shower, put it on in the morning. But before lunch, it was all up to temperature again.
Yeah.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what can I do with it? And I thought, oh, well, I offered the people that side, this side, you pay for the piping and I'll give you free water and free hot water, I'll pay the water bill. Neither of them took it up. They're mad. As it happened, this became a public thing later. We couldn't have done it anyway on that side, but that was many years later. But that one could have always had it.
Yeah.
And that house there, it was a bit of a shambles now. It had 7 or 8 tenants in it. But when I came here, it was owner occupied.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of rebuilding on that. I was front veranda on there, the thing, and the dumps. Yeah. I put on that. Me and my carpenter's son, who is now the top bloke in the QUT.
Yeah.
QUT, University. He used to be QIT, but he was the apprentice of the year at one time and won it. And we did a lot of jobs with his apprenticeship, which entirely his own work. He just left him to it. The little roundabout at Newstead, Rotunda. Yeah. That's one of his jobs.
Oh, yeah.
The bandstand at Mount Cootha.
Yeah.
All the stage and everything back in the rooms, all his work. And since then he's been working for QUT all the time. He's just about to retire now. Yeah. He's moved up to North Lakes, which is a lot of travelling. And I offered him the Austin 7, not Austin 7, that's another story.
So just coming back to the Townsville AEVA, did anyone actually have an electric car in those days?
No.
No, they were all just...
And it was, I suppose it was motivated to start because the other guy, the president, was a bloke in Treb, and he was trying to sell electricity and promote electricity altogether, domestically. And they asked the NEAQ, could somebody else join? You nominated Harold. So that was it. And we only had a small membership, probably 10, 20. 20 at the best.
There's someone up there at the moment trying to get that branch going again.
I believe so. Yeah. But you're saying about the progress, but it's been fairly steady throughout Australia, but not in Queensland. Because when I came down here, they're pretty active to start with. But then I got to the stage where I was doing this international stuff, and plus my job of building Callide at the time. And I was working 16 hours a day, and then I got this 6 years of international committee thrown on top of me.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have time to do anything. And when I left, it sort of fizzled. No, there was no speakers. Nobody wanted to get speakers anymore. And it got less and less interesting finally.
It's vastly different now, of course. So,
oh yeah.
What do you think about the state of play at the moment and what's going on for the future? How do you feel about what you're seeing happening right now?
I think it's inevitable. It will come to pass in about another 5 years. It'll be very much electric. Yeah. It's got to do. We can't keep on, but not with the present government, of course. Yeah. I'm a great believer, for want of a better word, in climate change. Yeah. Anybody who can't see it wants his head read. Yeah. But we're still just put in that new coal mine at Adani, where you shouldn't be doing that. They say, oh, we as people concerned about it, we're doing pretty well, but we're only a small thing. Yeah. Our contribution, bad or good, to the world is zero, or near enough. Yeah. But our coal export is second largest in the world, and it's not a country type thing now. It's a planet type thing, and we have no right to promote the rest of the world to burn huge quantities of fossil fuels. It's quite unnecessary. And in fact, one day when I was at Callide Power Station, I usually flew up for a day and back again. But occasionally there were times when I had other jobs to stay by there 3 days or something. And one of them was it was in the days when terrorists just beginning to roll ahead. And the bloke who looked after the fire systems of everything, a little bloke, I didn't like him much, but he got involved in, he got plans drawn up for the fence, and fence, barbed wire and all the rest of it. It's about 5.5 kilometres, they get round all the corners. I sent it to me because I was the one who signed the drawings off. I said, that's ridiculous. Look at the shape of the plan. I think you could do that with a pentagon, with one side re-entrant. So you'll have 5 things, you just have tower at either corner. And it was a double fence. And, sound detectors, there's first movement detectors, and he had about 40. We did it with 5. Because just, 100 metres that way, 500 metres this way. And that's how it got built in the end.
So this is a security fence to protect the Callide B power station from terrorists.
That's right. The fence is still there. I was up there about 3 years ago, called him, I thought.
So the terrorists.
The station's shut down now, of course. That makes me feel very old. 25 years of life. That's another thing the government want, keeping these power stations open, like Hazelwood and so on. And power stations are designed life is 25 years. After that, it becomes more expensive to keep them on than buy a new one. But it takes 10 years to build a power station. The whole 6
compared to building a solar farm, it takes, 3 months?
They recently, one of my technical magazines, the Dutch, was it? Or the Dutch or the Swedes put a solar farm in the North Sea between Sweden and Scotland, in a place called the Bay of Glasgow. It's a hell of a long way from Glasgow, but it's a big indentation if you look at the Isle, British Isle. In the North Sea, which is extremely difficult, it's storms all the time.
Yeah.
It's fairly shallow, so you get big waves.
Yeah.
But this being shallow made it possible. That was 18. I can't remember the exact figures now, but it was of the order of 40 megawatts wind turbines.
Yeah.
And they did the whole thing from go to wall. The first turbine was running 1 month after they started the project, as they built them and commissioned them.
Yeah.
It's just time, like oil rigs, just standing on steps in the water.
Yeah. Often I think the decision to build a power station is more about money for contractors, money for all sorts of industry. So the decisions are made based on the number of jobs it might involve, not what's good for.
Yeah, well, that's another mistake the government making. You know, they're going about 1,500 miners will be out of work if we don't do a Dana.
Yeah.
And what's the difference? Because we'll have 5,000 member building solar.
Yeah.
That's to start with, and probably 3,000 for life.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely an industry that needs change, and it's going to be a long road before that changes.
Well, I'm very happy now that I'm beginning to see these privately owned ones beginning to go fast and furious. The one in the like far North Queensland, the big cattle driver bloke, I've forgotten his name now, but that's got two pastoralists with a lake between them, and building wind turbine, and no power required there. It's all got to be exported. But it's a wonderful site because of tremendous areas. They've got a big lake in one of them, which is higher than the other. So they got their own pump storage built into it. And Townsville is another one that's going. Callide is now been converted to be bought by the Thai government, or Thai firm, sorry. The name of Ratchet without the T on it, without the E in it, sorry, R-A-C-H-T. Who was surprising to me when I worked into it, 34% of the Australian electricity infrastructure is owned by Thailand. But they're doing a great job at Collinsville now. And they've got a supergrid through there now, 500 kV instead of 110. And we've got both wind and solar built on the area that's been mined out. We're not the only thing you can do with it. Open cut mining is ruined forever. Because you know you're 300 feet deep. And that's another thing people don't realise. You know, they say coal's efficient. It's nowhere near the best heat engine. By that I mean anything that converts heat to mechanical power. By the second law of thermodynamics could never exceed about 40%, and we haven't yet achieved that on single cycle jobs. Combined cycles, we can. You can have a gas turbine and use its exhaust to build steam. We get up to about 55%. But the average station is about 32% now, if you're lucky. There's less data on units sent out. But I don't know what track I was on now.
Yeah, that's all right. So the present for electric vehicles is looking pretty good, and the future, how do you think? How do you see
I think it's inevitable. It's gonna.
It really comes back to money, doesn't it? As the price of something comes down, it's more about the economy of having these things, I think.
That's just the general feeling about the main thing, but the same applies to PV.
Yeah.
People will not put PV in. They say they haven't got the money to do it.
Yeah.
That's rubbish. The payback period is less than 2.5 years.
Yeah.
We borrow the money, and even 5%, it's still going to be in front.
Taking a loan from the bank for anything else. The solar is the best investment.
A lot of companies are actually offering to put them on the roof for you.
Yes.
You pay it off in 2.5 years, and then you've got it for the next 20 years for nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the same applies to electric cars. They are very expensive compared to a petrol car, but over 160,000 K, the guaranteed life of the battery, and 5 years. If you do that 150,000, you save about $28,000 in fuel and servicing, which is more than the difference between the price at the beginning.
Yeah.
Admittedly, not people can't get that much sort of money, but I made it. I wasn't particularly well paid. I'm a bit careful. I've never paid an electricity bill now for 21 years.
21 years?
20,
I'm jealous.
well, that's the PV's put into here.
Yeah. Oh, we've got 15 years without paying electricity, so not far behind you.
Okay. But I was getting about 2,000 a year in credits.
Yeah.
Now I'm only getting 160, I think it was, like that, per quarter. That's 600. When I started charging electric cars from here, of course, it went down by about 200 a year.
Yeah.
And that's about what it was costing me for 20,000 kilometres. $200.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Now, in terms of maintenance, let's say for BMW i3, since you bought it, what was the maintenance involved? What sort of?
Well, I did a deal for free services, but they don't do anything.
That's right.
Oh, I'm doing an unfair thing. It went in last Thursday. I had to get Gary driving in very kindly. We went up there. It's just had its second service. And I noticed on the bill, which cost nothing, they changed the brake fluid. They changed all the fancy air filter cleaners and this sort of thing. They all get changed every time, all free. Yeah. So it should be, because they don't have to do anything else. Yeah. Although I should perhaps mention that on the way back from a trip with my son, just at the top of the road here, the screen suddenly went pedestrian proximity or something like this. And I tried it, it blocks everything else out, it's an emergency. So you're driving blind on the eye thing. And that was fixed up in the case, back to brand new again. Yeah. And I asked them what they'd done. They said, oh, it's something to do with the steering. How the hell? I can't believe that. Yeah. But anyway, it didn't take them long to fix it. Back to new. Yeah. But what caused it, I'm not sure. It might have been because it's been left too long without being driven. Because I've had this accident 14 weeks ago now. Yeah.
So you've come from a push bike with a 6-volt battery
to an i3.
To an i3, which is light years of difference in the technology.
Agreed. On the motors in particular, the 3-phase AC motor, or DC motors, is now way in advance of anything. Even big stuff now, I'm talking about power station auxiliaries. Yeah. The efficiency of a big motor was, in the megawatt range, about 87, 88%. Yeah. Now the efficiency of that new motor, like they're using in cars, is about 90 something, 93, something like that. Yeah.
But don't you think this will be like the solar panels, when you first got the first solar panels, if you had bought them at a retail price, it would have been maybe $75 or $100 per watt, or per watt. Now it's like 75 cents a watt, So same with electric cars. I expect that as years progress, we're just going to see the economy of scale bring the price down to where it's completely irrational to pour petrol into an engine.
That's right. But even that, buying a BMW, you're buying a name as well. They had a $5,000 dealer charge. Just stop it. Yeah. Most, drive away is $1,000 for the seller, the dealer, but $5,000 for a BMW. Mind you, in all fairness, I must admit the service is brilliant. Yeah. I had going back from that Helensvale. Yeah. I had our last meeting. Yeah. I took that guy from Yarra Bilber.
Oh, yeah.
And coming back, I went off the edge of the road, it's only a single bitumen, with very bad drops in places. Yeah. The truck coming the other way, so I moved off. And when I drove back on, ripped the side out the tyre.
Oops.
And they got I rang the RACQ, got it there, but then I got it to BMW. They said, "Oh no, we'll have to charge $400 for the new tyre and fitting it." But they said, "We'll look after the bill of the transport, which is way outside the distance allowed by RACQ." They just picked the tab up and it cost me nothing.
Cool.
And they like this with everything. Part of the deal you get with it, like an RACQ, you just ring them up, you're 50 miles from home, and they will get somewhere there to get you, or organise accommodation for
Yeah.
free.
Yeah. Maybe in 10 years' time you'll be ringing the AEVA and they'll come and tell you.
Excellent. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Graham, for organising this today. Harold, thank you very much for
welcome.
your time and for your passion for this electric movement.
Anything electric.
Guys, go electric, you will love it. Connect with us on Facebook and on this YouTube channel and on Australian Electric Vehicle Association website. We'll see you next time live. Bye-bye.